how I've come to accept or continually learn to accept that my kids are delaying my goals and dreams. So in the first kind of video, I talk about what my expectations were when I was pregnant with my son, and how in the last, he's 10 months now, almost a year old actually, 11 months, I don't know, almost a year old, and how I've just had to really manage my expectations as his needs started to change, as he didn't nap as often, as he started to crawl on all the furniture, and he just can't, you know, sit quietly playing by himself, entertaining himself while I do this, what I want to do. This part is about talking about how being fast and really racing to your dream isn't necessarily better. So from his crying to my daughter whining at me to put my laptop away so I can play with her, because she knows the laptop is associated with me working. Every interruption I get corresponds to me taking half a step towards my dreams and goals instead of a full one, right? Because if you ever started a task and then have someone interrupt you, you don't just resume like whatever you left off. It's like you have to like take this time to kind of recuperate and reprocess. Oh, where was I? Right. And that takes time. I cannot produce and work at the pace my mind wants me to because my heart is slowing me down. And it's impossible to go full steam ahead when your tank is half full. Because the love and attention that I want to give my kids conflicts with the passion and drive that I want to give to my dream. And it's forcing me to slow down. And it's testing my patience, tugging me in two different directions, you know, and contributing really to that unfortunate working mom guilt. But does reaching your dreams faster mean a better journey? No. Like, to me, no. Because if it means I can't take back what I missed out on, sharing the same regrets that a lot of old people on their deathbeds have. So there's a study that, not study, but just like this, I think, I forgot who did it, but they interviewed a bunch of older people on their deathbeds, and I Googled it. It was like all your biggest regrets. And the most common one was spent more time with family and didn't work so hard. So obviously I'm going to take their words of advice to heart, because they're on their deathbeds. They've got how many more days to live, or months, and I've got my whole life ahead of me. So I want to take their regrets and make sure that they're not my regrets by the time I'm their age. Another thing is, remember, it's the turtle who wins the race. You know, whenever I sit on the floor with my 4-year-old, role playing as a plastic spotted dog, right, coming up with outrageous stories that would have major plot holes that she doesn't care about, you know, 10 minutes of doing that feels like an hour. And, you know, we often hear people complain or just kind of voice their frustrations, like, not frustrations, but just the comments of, oh, I can't believe it's been 10 years since the Vancouver Olympics, or it's pumpkin spice season already. What happened to summer, you know, or what happened to last year? Like, especially now it's 2020, like this whole COVID thing is just making time just feel like one big blur, you know, or it's Monday already. What happened to the weekend? It feels like we didn't even have a weekend, and people can just, I don't know if it's complaint, it's just this is almost like this normal way of conversing that time is constantly, we're just constantly trying to get more time. But my kids are a constant reminder in my life to slow down, you know, to let time swell so that I don't become a spectator as my life passes by me. That I'm a participant in my own life, not just going along. And my kids are great at teaching me how to be mindful. Like, kids are nonstop, but when they find something that they really are fascinated with, oftentimes they're things that you've missed yourself. Because you get to appreciate the little things that I mindlessly take for granted. So, for instance, there was this one time we were driving home in the evening, and my daughter yells, the moon, Mom, the moon looks funny. Do you see it? It's over there. It's like, but you go hold the year, right? and that's in Cantonese. I look out my window and the moon looked like a sliver, it's like, I don't even know what it's called, but it's like sliver of almond, and I could barely see it, but she noticed. And so I respond, like, I'm like, oh wow, yeah, I see it. It looks like your fingernail clipping. Because when we cut her fingernails, she gets to be the one that collects them, and then sometimes she leaves them on the floor. So anyway, so she's like, my daughter chuckles and she's like, yeah, Mom, it really does. And I turn around, turn around and look at her, and she gives me this wide smile as though we just shared a small secret. And seeing her smile gives me such a sense of joy and like the strides I've been making towards my goals, because these are the moments that I fear missing out on. The one and only FOMO that I have, the only one fear of missing out that I have, really isn't work related. And because I can always work harder, because work will always be there. The opportunities will come and go, and really if I miss one or a dozen, there will be another dozen waiting for me when I'm ready with the capacity to take them on. If you ever feel like you want to do this, you want to do that, oh my God, this is like once in a lifetime opportunity, you know, nothing really is a once in a lifetime opportunity unless it's about your kids who are constantly growing. Things will come and go, but your kids don't stay the same. Believing in abundance more than scarcity, like that there are just limitless, like having this idea that it's limitless, minimizes my fears of missing out on opportunities that could potentially allow me to reach my dreams faster. And I'm not falling behind, right? Like this fear sometimes when you're trying to reach a goal, and you feel like there's some things that's setting you back. Maybe it's your kids, or maybe it's I don't know, something that just prevents you from getting there faster. Where's the timeline? Who's in control of this timeline? You are, right? And you can control how long or how fast it takes you. And faster doesn't mean better. But the thing is that my kids don't stand still, right? Like just because I'm moving like this, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna go faster here. My kids are moving, they're gonna continually move. So I either keep moving fast and they keep growing, or I slow down and catch up with them, right? I can't control their timelines, and there are no pause buttons. They're growing every day, developing, building connections in their brains about how the world works, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And they're really only young for so long, and they don't stay babies, they don't stay toddlers, they don't stay preschoolers, they don't stay in grade school, they don't stay in high school, they don't stay mouthy teenagers, you know, attitude-giving mouthy teenagers, thank goodness. I want to break the generational cycle of, remember that, like, the sage advice that a lot of older parents, like seasoned parents who have kids who have moved out, like when I was pregnant, I always got this from the older parents. Enjoy these moments while they're still young, because they grow up too fast. And to be honest, they're right. Like, they do grow up fast if you miss it. Remember, imagine you have a garden and you've got like a plant that's, you know, blooming or whatever, and you miss those few days it's blooming. And the next thing you know, it's fall and its leaves have died, and you're like, what? What just happened? I thought it was like gonna bloom, and you missed that entire time. So it feels like it was so fast for it to go from about to bloom to dead leaves. It's because you didn't pay attention. I don't want to be giving that same piece of advice when I'm a seasoned parent. I'm I'm their age. Instead, I want to be telling young parents, like when I'm in my like 50s and 60s or whatever, I want to be telling pregnant women, oh, enjoy these moments. I'm not going to be saying that to her. I really hope I don't. Instead, I would be saying, children are a gift of time travel. I finally learned to slow down, and you will too. Lastly, like my worth isn't defined by my work, right? Like I'm more than just a mom. I'm more than just a writer, a content creator, a speaker, an author. I'm more than just a wife, a daughter, a sister, an aunt, a friend. There's just so many facets in my life that are meaningful, that define my worth and give purpose to my existence. And the amount of effort that I put into each role at a point in time, doesn't reflect me, or doesn't reflect who I am as a whole, right? You pick like my life, 34 years, you pick a time point at one point in my life and you say, whoa, you've dedicated all your fucking time into being a girlfriend. That's who you are now. That's how, but that point in time, that year or that day, that all I did was be a girlfriend, doesn't reflect who I am my whole life. And yeah, right now, the last few years, or today, I'm doing this video. I'm spending this time while he's napping working on this. And maybe the rest of the day, I'm more hooked on my phones than being present with my kids. That moment, those 4 or 5 hours, doesn't reflect who I am as a whole. And on the contrary, if I spend, so it's kind of taking that into the bigger perspective and looking at the grand scheme of things as your life as a journey, rather than these points in times that we are so hard on ourselves for. Motherhood teaches me things that I cannot learn from work. When I make a conscious decision to spend my day playing with my kids instead of working on my next book, these are things that I ask myself, right? Are my skills going to get rusty? Will I forget how to construct a proper sentence? Like how to format a document? Will I have to relearn how to update my website and create a blog and publish on social media and, learn all the new techniques to market myself and adapt to new social media platforms, may not be social media, just platforms in general, and adjust to the ever-changing trends on selling and publishing books. To be honest, like, probably not, I don't know, and I don't know what I don't know. Things might change, but it's having the but what I do know is that there will be thousands of resources out there to help me. I mean, I can read English. I can watch a video. I can understand how to take the steps and learn and do that self-directed learning. Self-directed learning. However, being a mom to my kids is like an experience no book, no article, no manager, no job, no life coach or project that you work on can give me. It's an experience in its own way. And parenting is this like ongoing 24/7 applied leadership course on ethics, coaching, negotiation, effective communication, planning, time management, accountability, change management, team building, conflict resolution, where you're constantly being tested for your compassion, your patience, and empathy. And you can really only pass this course by doing it. And the skills that you acquire are transferable to anything you want, right? Because you earned it with your blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, just talk to any parent who's had to diffuse a fight between siblings, or plan a family vacation, or schedule the kids' extracurricular activities in this crazy schedule, or ever had to teach their kid to tie their shoes, ride a bike, read a book, express and manage their emotions healthily. It's not an easy task. Another thing that I do is that I focus on what I can do during the day, not how long it will take me. So working mothers, if you are a working mother, you know that we are efficient and focused beasts. We don't like wasting time because time is incredibly precious. It's a hot commodity, man. When I'm writing and creating, I don't diddle-daddle. Like, I take every minute I have and I milk it. I use it wisely. My kids might need me, and although I used to think, and still sometimes think, I don't do enough, that I do enough to reach my dream, I've really created a mantra to myself that helps me feel a little less guilty about what I did do. And which is, every day I will do as much as I can to work on my goals. Whether it's composing like a 3,000 word blog post, or just designing posting on Instagram, or responding to all the messages, comments, and questions in my online community, on my Facebook group, in my Instagram, on email. Every step I take gets me a little closer, saying that to myself. And it's like saying, how you can't eat a whole elephant at one time, but you can take one bite at a time. I focus on micro tasks and knowing that I'm chipping away at something bigger that will take years to accomplish and come into fruition. And this requires a lot of patience, especially when your kids are interrupting you and you're like, fuck, I just want to get this thing done, right? And it takes a lot of patience and faith to continually believe that those small bits of effort that you do every day is worth it, and that being there for my kids now is a better investment than when they're grown. If they're grown, there's not really an investment, right? And that I will enjoy the fruits of my labor. So having that patience and faith is not easy, right? Faith is not something that you can just take in pill form or just have. It's really based upon the confidence that I have in myself, in my work ethic, in my skills and abilities, and dedication and commitment to my dream. I'm not gonna lie, right? I'm not gonna lie, but there are definitely days when I feel like my kids have taken every last ounce of my energy, like to just zap me and crippling my motivation to do anything. And I'm insecure that there is light at the end of the tunnel. However, I reassure myself that tomorrow is another day, and how I approach it is an opportunity to change my mindset. And I remind myself that working on my goals, and it matters because they align with my values, right? These are things I value, these are things I believe in, and what I'm writing about, it gives me joy. The process of working gives me satisfaction, gives me fulfillment in my life, that when the time comes and my kids need me a little less, like become a little more independent, I will get up, I will change gears, and I will take the initiative to go full speed. And really, that's what gives me that's what drives my patience and my faith when I'm pursuing my goals and dreams. That when they do interrupt me, when they do need me, and I can't put my 100% into this, I know I can and eventually will, but they can't. They can't wait. Until then, until I get to that point where they need me a little less, I'm going to race upstairs to my son, who's been napping and for the past hour, and I'm going to take a mental picture of his angelic face. So let me know, do your kids get in the way of your goals and dreams? Are you a working mom, working parent? And like, what's something that you do that allows you to accept that delay, right? It's kind of first admitting that there is a delay, that they are causing this barrier. And the next is like, well, okay, this is what it is. How am I going to accept it? How am I going to be grateful for the situation that I have and not resent them? Let me know.